Vince, I'm Rick, and you're not. Hey, you know, have you ever kind of, maybe you haven't noticed, it doesn't surprise me that so many people uh, who grew up in America today fail to really understand just how messed up and crooked our system is. Where all the stuff we talk about, all this great crap we go on about having uh, the most perfect society, the best country in the world, the smartest, the richest, the what the hell else you want to call it, right? All right, figure out my lighting, right? Some overhead light for doing down. But anyway, um, the fact of the matter is that our system is really screwed up, and it has been since day one. Actually, since before day one. I mean, it really is. Just amazes me how we manage to function as long as we have, and not have a significant moral and constitutional crisis on a regular basis. That we don't have it much more frequently. So this thing called gerrymandering, for example, this is a terrible problem, and it's something that it goes back to the very earliest days of the country, and it's kind of part of a necessary evil that's been twisted and turned to the advantage of whatever party's in charge at the time. And it's been attempts have been made to address it over time. It's been my understanding, but with mixed results. So you go back to the 1800s, 1812, somewhere in that. There's a senator, I believe. There's a fellow that was in Congress back in the day, or is he a governor? Maybe he was a governor. Anyway, he was like a lot of other things. Every 10 years, our country has a census. And the idea being is to get an accurate count of everybody everybody that they can find, and their basic stats: race, creed, religion, status, employment status, wealth level, all this stuff, and including your political leanings, your political party leanings. So when you register as a Democrat or you register as a Republican, you set the bar for these two parties to play a game of tug of war. And it doesn't have to make sense. Yet at the same time, just how much this is pure chicanery is not only outrageous but just flabbergasting. It just flabbergasts me. So at the end of the day, everybody, one person, one vote. In order to get those votes, we need to be represented. So this plays mostly to the House of Representatives, Congress. When it comes to the Senate, this is basic civics 101 in America, my friends. If you slept through these classes in school, shame on you. I mean, shame on you. The very basics of how our government functions. It's just, you want it to function, you got to understand how the shit works. The fact that so many people truly do not understand the basics of how the system works is why we have so many ignorant people saying the things they do on the net and in public, because they have no freaking clue what the hell they're talking about, and that's detrimental to them. They don't. That too is the sad truth and reality that so many people are their own worst enemies, and they don't see it. That's the big part that boggles me, and I struggle to understand it on a damn daily basis. So in this case, every 10 years they do a census, and we determine X amount of people live in your neighborhood. So the politicians, now every state's different, and sometimes communities vary inside the states, determine who sets up these boundaries, who determines the congressional districts for the House. So everybody's entitled to a representative in the House of Representatives by law, by the Constitution. This is something we're supposed to be able to be fairly represented. So to do this, they don't want to have 20,000 members of Congress. They don't want 20,000 people at the House of Representatives. Good Lord, they'd have to do things in shifts. They can't get nothing done with 430 odd people they got now. But that number goes up and down. The senators never change. There's 2 senators per state, period. And they've not had any amendments to the Constitution or to that fact in any times in the past that I'm aware of. Now, I'm not aware of everything, and I acknowledge that. So, if we add a fifth state, or a 51st state. So if Puerto Rico were to be made a state, and by love of Pete and by every measure of the way shit works, Puerto Rico should have been a state a long damn time ago. And the fact it's located where it is has absolutely no bearing. Look at Hawaii. Look how far out Hawaii is. And Alaska is kind of separate from the continental United States, even though it's, kind of because of Canada. Just saying. Right? So when you look at that, there's no reason Puerto Rico couldn't be a state. But if it was, that would mean 51 states, hence there would be 102 senators. Only one president, 2 senators per state. This leaves the House of Representatives, hence the people representing the people, the American Party, or the population, period. So you get one for every so many people. And to do this, each state varies. So in Iowa, there's 6. I think there's 6 congressional districts. 6. So every so many years we see this skullduggery and shimmerol get rolled up and popped in, where they start playing with the maps and deciding who lives where and why. So when they sit there and say they're basically trying to give a fair representation, there should be so many Democrats and so many Republicans and so many Caucasians and so many blacks and so many Mexicans and so on and so on. So and how they figure that crap out is convoluted as all get out. So some states have commissions, and that's their sole job. And ideally, those commissions are supposed to be biased. They're not supposed to divide things by party lines. But that's not how it truly works, is it? So they use this chance to manipulate the maps, and so they can concentrate as many Republicans or Democrats in a given district that gives the party that's manipulating things an advantage. And all that sometimes make we'll put all the Republicans in our own district. No, not necessarily. Maybe that you want to split your Republicans up between 2 separate districts because it gives you the majority in 2 districts that are going to then more likely elect party members of that party. Both parties are guilty of this. All parties at some point have manipulated these things through history, and that tells me right there's a problem. This should not be something that can be done. We should not have, there should be true independent decisions based on this. There's got to be a mathematical formula or a computer program nowadays. You could, of course, look at Dominion. Everybody could there and say, "Well, they corrupted it. It's biased. It's twisted to the advantage of the blah 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 or whatever." So, at the end of the day, though, what this does is disempowers people's votes by manipulating shit. This would be like you going and you get your check every week. You work X amount of hours. I mean, I assume you work most of y'all ain't working crazy shit like I work. We're kind of a rare bird to have to deal with the shit we deal with, the hours we do. But everybody works a check. Well, what if you come in next week and instead of you getting 40-hour check that you used to have, and you get a 39.5-hour check, and you go, well, the clock has me leaving an hour early today. Or an hour early on Wednesday. Why is Joe coming in an hour early and I'm leaving an hour? Well, Joe needs more money. Well, I need money. What do you mean? I need money. I need my 42. I need 45 plus. I need a minimum of 45 every week. It's a hard week. If it drops below 40, we really having a hard week. So I'm just pointing out the obvious. So if you come to work and suddenly somebody's taking a half hour from your check and giving it to this guy because this guy wants it or needs it, do you okay with that? Well, you just shrug and nod. I can't do nothing about it. The boss is controlling the schedule. So next couple months go by and you come to work and now it's 37 3/4 hours on your schedule. You're leaving an hour early on Tuesday and you're coming in an hour and a half late on Wednesday now. They're giving you some flex hours, right? You want them flex hours, right? Well, I don't want to at me, I don't want to lose my hours. Well, Jane needs an extra. Jane needs a little bit more money, and Fred decided he wants, he wants that slot. He wants to come in. And goes, so why do I have to lose hours so these guys gain stuff? How's that fair? At the end of the day, friends, that's exactly what these people are doing. These people are manipulating the system, and it's not always for your benefit, because these politicians will structure districts that will cut out their own people too. They'll disenfranchise their own people on a numbers game, because they're looking at the bigger picture of how many representatives from a particular state is going to be blue or red, right? And that's just not right. It's not fair, and it just reeks of corruption, because it is corrupt. And when you allow corruption to fester in any form whatsoever, even if it's acknowledged, wink and nod, and we've always done it that way. We've always done it that way. Oh, look over there. Go look at that crap. Go look at what Joe's doing. So once this sets in, it just a little more here and a little more there and a little greedier here and a little greedier here, and then you get these really convoluted, twisted crap, and then it really starts changing the venue. Now, supposedly, we have a checks and balances. They do have some legal recourse, because they're allowed to gerrymander. These people are allowed, the politicians are not going to change things that benefit them. Even if it's the other side that's getting the advantage currently, eventually the tide will turn and the other side will get an advantage. Just see how that, you had it last time, we have it this time. It's good to be a politician. Good to be a politician, huh? Yeah. Because the damn chumps that elect us, they're stupid and they don't get the fuck out. They don't understand any of this stuff. And we want to keep you stupid. They want you to stay stupid, America. They love us being stupid. They don't want you to think critically. They don't want you to think for yourself. They just want you to do what we tell you to do and suck it up for the greater good of whatever it is. So get the lids, get the MAGA, what the fuck, right? This gerrymandering shit is a problem. It's been a problem since the beginning of the country. And the fact that it's not surprising that somebody early on stumbled on the advantage that this allowed. This was a loophole or an oversight when they created the process in the first place. Then they thought, well, it's not good, honest Americans are going to serve as our politicians, and the voters will make sure they stay honest and stay in step and stay true. Does it work that way? Has it worked that way? So the Supreme Court says it can't be racially motivated. The one caveat that they have that will potentially shut down this sort of thing is if you can sit there and say it's gerrymandering on racial boundaries. So what they mean by that, and we see that today in Arkansas, Louisiana, a couple other states. This is where in a state that should have 7 districts, 2 of which should be primarily black voters, because of the demographics set by the census. The large concentration of African Americans live in these districts. So predominantly, though, these also happen to be Democrats by and large. So the numbers would mean on the state level for Arkansas and for the House of Representatives is that they would have, instead of having 6 of the 7 districts be Republican, there would be 5 versus 2 Democrats, because if you go by the racial boundaries, the lion's share of the people living in these 2 areas should be blue. Not red, blue. But we're going to dip into this and nip off here and cut over here and chop off this and take a bit of this and clip a bit of this, and then you get a paycheck that looks like Swiss cheese, like mice have been tearing at your damn check all weekend while it was sitting in the office safe. Meanwhile, you come in the next Friday, and you're expecting 45 hours, and you get 37 and a half, and you're like, what? Oh, well, we had this, that, and this. It'll straighten out in a few years. Sucks to be you. I don't know, folks. I think this is bullshit, and I think it's high time we straighten this particular crap out. nailed it down. This how though, how you would set this system up, because obviously demographics change, people move, populations grow, populations diminished. I see this in the state of Iowa. The lion's share of the Democratic people in Iowa, the registered Democrats, tend to concentrate into very large urban centers, and there's only a handful of them. And where the lion's share of the state is Republican, in part because there are far fewer people in those areas of the state. So when you look at our district maps, our district maps look pretty damn convoluted too. And if you're not paying attention, why would you pay attention? You just look at the map. If you even bother to look at the map, most people don't. And they don't understand just how much this is screwing them over. The fact that we don't understand and we don't pay attention to this stuff. It's like getting your water bill one day and it's $20, and then the next month it's $19, and then the third month it's $200, and there's this massive spike of water, and you look at this your flow chart for the entire year, and there's nothing, this huge spike of water, and then there's nothing and nothing. And you're like, what the fuck? Oh, you must have a slow leak in your toilet. It's your problem. We were guesstimating on the first couple months. We thought. So for the longest time, they changed their system in my case. I'm bitching about my water bill. So 3 months ago, it was like $24, and I paid it, and it was $19 in that month, and I paid it, and I'm thinking, this is way below normal. We usually $50, $60. What the hell? And then the third month, bam, they caught up with everything else. We was estimating the first 2 months. How? How would you go 3 years, 4 years, averaging $50, $60 a month? It's pretty steady. So how the hell do you get up? So I think their system's screwed up. But if you don't pay attention to that, you just pay the bill and bitch. You bitch and pay the bill and shrug your shoulder. Well, I can't do nothing about it. So I figured this month my water bill came yesterday, on Friday, and sure enough, it's like $24, $20. And I told the wife, I says, fuck that. We're getting a money order for $60 or for $50. I'll send them a money order. I'm going to overpay them. And then next month, the water bill will show up saying we don't owe nothing, and I'll say, fuck that. And we will send them the $60, $65 money order, because I know the third month they're going to hit me with all they're going to, their estimates will balance out. Right? And then I won't be hammered with a $200, $170 damn water bill I wasn't expecting, because I'm taking the steps to prepay. Because I understand now what the hell's going on, and that it's not my problem. It's not a leaky toilet here. It's some weird shit they're doing there. So there you go, America. Watch the weird shit they're doing. You wonder why so many of these people are so fed up with shit and so frustrated with stuff. You look at the MAGA crowd specifically. If you spend any time with those people before this MAGA event, if you understood these people on the fundamental level like I do, you understand why they think the way they do, and why they're so confused, and why they're so disconnected. And in part it's because you don't fucking read. You don't pay attention to stuff that ain't got nothing to do with you direct. You don't look at the bigger picture, and you don't even try to understand. You fell asleep in government class in civics, where you just did what you had to do to make the teacher happy, and then like all of us, most of us, majority of us, we went on to other things. Life is more important and more immediate than a lot of the stuff we're taught in high school. But if you didn't understand it, you don't understand the basic functions of how something works, you're doomed for it to fuck up. If you own an automobile and you don't understand the basic functions of how it works, you're gonna die. I ain't exaggerating. That is the honest to God's truth. You're gonna die if you don't understand how a brake works, or an accelerator works, or more importantly, how the rules of the road work. Because if you think you're driving in some foreign country where you could just bebop all through the crowd and then the lights are just there for decoration, you're gonna die. And the question will be is, how many fuck asses you taking with you? Wake up, America, for the love of God. Wake the fuck up. Jeez.